Hi there, and I want to say a few words today in video number 12 on sex abuse and brainwashing. And I want to make the connection today with sex abuse and brainwashing in order to help us to have another tool in our safe relationship toolbox, and we can use this tool in order to keep us safe and in order to make us a little bit more consciously aware of what can be happening or could be happening in our dating and relationship scenarios. And when we engage in sex with another person, whether that's in a loving relationship apparently, or whether it's in a casual scene, in a casual scenario, sometimes a sexual arrangement can be set up, or relationship apparently, in order for us to be groomed for abuse in the future. And this is something that some of us will find very, very difficult to get our heads around. That there could be people out there, pathological people possibly, who actually intend to set out to groom another person, that is, to mould them into someone who they can abuse at some stage down the line when they've been hooked in, drawn in, when their trust has been gained, and when they are firmly set within the situation, so that the abuser then can start to introduce intermittently various forms of abuse, possibly verbal abuse initially, psychological abuse and emotional abuse, so that the individual is gradually, over time, moulded into the type of partner that the abuser wants. And part of the grooming process can include sex, of course, because sex is a powerful tool to use in order to manipulate someone with, particularly if it's great sex. You're hardly going to groom someone with poor sex, although an abuser might think it's great sex. That might not be your perception of it at the end of the day. So sex and abuse often goes together because it's such a powerful weapon that can be used as a form of manipulation and control, either in a violent form or in a very seductive form, in order to convince the partner, the victim, that they're in a good relationship, apparently, because the sex is so good. And often our minds connect sex with love, with a good relationship. And of course it is part of a good relationship, healthy relationship as well. And that's where the confusion comes in. That's where we find it very difficult to believe that someone would want to deliberately mould us and groom us for a specific purpose, and that is to receive abuse at the end of the day. Brainwashing can be a part of this process because when we're in a sexual scenario, we often feel very vulnerable, we feel very close to the other person, it's an intimate situation we're involved in, and we open up very much at that time to the other person because we believe, we trust them, and we believe that they feel the same way about us. And therefore, we wouldn't think of wanting to hurt someone at such an intimate moment. But if someone has an agenda and they are moulding us, they may use the sexual situation when our guard is down, when we are more vulnerable, in order to introduce certain key aspects of the abusive process, one of which is brainwashing. That is convincing us that we believe certain things that we may not actually truly believe. For instance, they might introduce at that particular time the concept that we enjoy being controlled and dominated. And even though our mind may be going off in all sorts of funny directions, thinking, no, I don't enjoy that at all, over time, if we are vulnerable enough, we may become convinced that we do actually enjoy this abuse, that we do enjoy being pushed around or rough sex or abused verbally or whatever it is that they want us to swallow. And so it's at particularly vulnerable times that we're often open to brainwashing, and we're often open to having the abuser sowing their version of us into us at that time. Because we're open and our heart is open and we're feeling more vulnerable and trusting of the other person. Because if we've trusted someone enough to sleep with them, then surely we should be able to trust them with other aspects. And that's not necessarily the case. So a good idea is to step back, to listen closely to what's being said to us, what's being done to us, and to have a look at what the agenda of the other person may be, which could be to groom us for something else further down the line. So as always, stay safe and, very happy. Bye-bye.